Hey guys, it's Brandon, and today I've got another movie review on deck. This time we're looking at Ready Player One. After seeing it, I had a lot of stuff I wanted to say about it, so I figured why not make a quick video on it. Now, fair warning, there's probably going to be quite a few spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen it yet and don't want anything spoiled, this is your chance to leave. With that out of the way, let's talk about this interesting movie. So I think I want to start off by talking about what I did like about the movie. I don't want this to be a video of me just completely ragging on it for X amount of minutes, and there were some things that I did enjoy about it, so I just want to lay them out here. First and foremost, I really like the overall concept of the movie. As someone who's played video games for as long as I can remember, I really dig the concept of taking stuff like VR and gaming to its logical next steps with super immersive stuff like the Oasis. Though I probably won't see anything like that in my time, it's neat to imagine the possibilities of stuff like this. The second big thing I liked about the movie was the CGI. To be fair though, if you're Steven Spielberg in 2018 and you can't make a movie with good CGI with your literally infinite money, something is very wrong. That said, the world of the game looked neat, and although the character models dipped into the uncanny valley in some shots, it was overall nice to look at and really made the world come to life. Another good thing about the movie was the score. Not the soundtrack as a whole, believe me, I'll get to that later, but the orchestral parts of the score done by Alan Silvestri were really nice, though I feel like, again, that's something to be expected from someone like Silvestri. Finally, the other big thing about the movie that I liked was the way it portrayed gaming as something that's pretty universal and can bring people from all kinds of backgrounds together. By the end of the movie, the main character's best friends were an 11-year-old Chinese kid, a black woman that looked to be at least 10 years older than him, a Japanese guy, and a girl that lived right down the street from him even though he had never had any idea of that. I thought this was especially cool mostly because of my own personal experiences with gaming, and thanks to the internet and video games specifically, I've made friends with people from so many different countries, age ranges, races, and cultures that I wouldn't have really been able to meet otherwise. I've always viewed gaming as a great tool for bringing people together, and it was pretty neat to see that on the big screen. Now, with all that being said, let's talk about the way this movie was written for a minute. The writing was arguably the most groan-inducing thing I've ever sat through in a film, and I've seen The Room more times than I probably should have. If you've listened to my podcast at all, which is also on this channel, you know that I have problems with The Big Bang Theory and the way that it just strings references together with no actual joke and expects you to laugh at it. This movie does the same exact thing, but it plays it completely seriously. The characters act as if knowing the things from the 80s is a fucking integral life skill or something. Now look, I get it, this movie is meant to be a celebration of nerd culture and all that, but holy shit does it go about it in the most obnoxious way. On the surface, I have no problem with references to other things or Easter eggs in the background and all that, and I think if done correctly, they can be used pretty well when incorporated into the plot of something. The way Ready Player One does its references isn't at all like that, however. Nearly any time something is on screen that is from something else, the characters go 8 miles out of their way to point it out so they can be sure the audience doesn't miss something that's in plain fucking sight. For example, in the big race scene at the beginning that's been in all the trailers, the girl protagonist is riding the same bike that Kaneda rides in the movie Akira. Now this could have been just a cool thing for people who recognize it if it was left alone, but no. The line that follows almost immediately after they show it goes something like, "Hey, see that girl on Kaneda's bike from Akira? That's Artemis. She's legendary. I've seen her Twitch streams." This type of shit is repeated ad nauseum anytime something from another film or game is on screen for more than 2 seconds at a time. There are so many examples of this shit all throughout the movie, I'm sure you can make a 10-minute video of just clips where they're mentioning other stuff. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, most of the things they end up referencing aren't even used in the correct way that they were in the source material. The most glaringly bad case of this is in the case of the Iron Giant. Now, in the book, Ready Player One, instead of the Iron Giant being used in the final battle, Ultraman was used to fight off the big bad final boss. Now, I get it, Ultraman may not be too recognizable for Western audiences, but they definitely could have picked literally anything else to take his place other than the Iron Giant. The whole entire point of the Iron Giant movie is that he doesn't want to be used as a weapon of mass destruction. He says verbatim at one point, I'm not done. Now here he is in Ready Player One shooting a big fucking laser at other people. Do you see what I mean? At worst, they're directly ignoring the source material that they're referencing, and at best, the stuff they're referencing has pretty much no bearing on the plot. The latter is especially obvious during the whole Shining scene. They set up a cursory reason for the Overlook Hotel to be reconstructed in the game as one of the challenges since, oh, that's the movie the creator of the game watched with the girl he was in love with on the only date they ever went on. But then after they hit all the classic Shining moments like Blood Elevator, the Hedge Maze, and Room 237, they get to where the actual challenge is, and the first line out of any character's mouth is, "Wait, this wasn't in The Shining." So then why the fuck did we just sit through that whole sequence of the main character and his friends fucking around in the hotel? They could have used literally any other set piece for the whole scene, and it wouldn't have made any difference at all. This scene, I think, really exemplifies my problem with the movie as a whole. Nearly all the references they make and stuff they call back to has either little to no bearing on the plot or characters. You could substitute any number of things in for the stuff they referenced, and the movie would not change except for probably like one part. That's not a celebration of nerd culture, that's, hey, remember the 80s? Wasn't this thing cool in the 80s? Look at all these things that are from the 80s, wrapped up in one shitty movie that wasted 2 hours of my fucking life. I think the thing that really hurt the most from all this is the very last challenge in the game. Now, the whole plot of the movie focuses around finding Easter eggs in the game that are related to the life of the creator as part of a big challenge that he left before he died to see who would inherit control over the game. The final challenge then, fittingly, comes in the form of a lone Atari 2600 sitting on a patch of ice. The heroes figure out that the way to beat the challenge is to find the Easter egg from the game Adventure, which was the first video game Easter egg ever. Now, this is a great way of making a reference to something and making it have some bearing on the plot. It feels like it has a reason to be there and isn't just something that you could switch out with any other game on the Atari or any other game system. It has a purpose and it has bearing on the story. This is how you do references correctly, and the fact that they got it right at the very end of the movie after making me sit through at least an hour and a half of bullshit makes the other shit that much worse. Though it seems like such a small nitpick, the references make up most of the movie, and as a result, pretty much killed any enjoyment that I would have had watching it. I did have other issues with it, like the fact that TJ Miller's character is set up as a big antagonist but essentially does fuck all for the entirety of the film, and also the licensed music started to get a little ridiculous after the fact that they played 3 different 80s tracks within the first 5 minutes. Not to mention, setting the final battle to "We're Not Gonna Take It" was an awful decision and really destroyed any dramatic stakes they may have been trying to build up for the fight. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just being too critical about it. Maybe I'm not accounting for the fact that probably a good majority of the people that are going to see this aren't immediately going to get the references like I do because they're not as much of a big fucking dork as I am. But at the same time, this movie feels like it was trying to be made and marketed exactly for people like me that have been into nerdy stuff all their lives and are going to understand the references. It feels like I'm supposed to be right in the target audience for this, but then whoever was writing the script didn't get who they were writing for and just tried to go for some kind of middle ground that really doesn't work for anyone. Anyway, I'm done ranting about it for now. I wouldn't recommend it personally, but if you feel like you really want to see it, by all means, don't let me stop you. Again, I'm probably just being overly critical, but it's hard not to be when stuff that I like is being just commodified and bastardized like it was in this movie. If you made it this far through the video, thanks. I really do appreciate it. I want to try and do more of these and just more reviews in general in the near future, so definitely expect more stuff coming soon. If you saw the movie and had a different take, let me know in the comments. See you guys in the next video.